Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank the hosts and organizers. I'm really grateful for the opportunity today to speak about Episciences. So, Episciences is a platform to publish overlay journals. I'm working for a research unit that is called CCSD. Benedict has already presented CCSD. I would like to add something, is that CCSD has 3 platforms that can work together, meaning that, for instance, you can organize your scientific event with ScienceConf, you can push the accepted papers on HAL, on Science HAL, and then you can publish the proceedings on Episciences journals. So all the 3 platforms are connected together and can work with the same accounts. And it's open to everyone in the world. So Episciences, what is it about? It's about a publishing platform dedicated to overlay journals. We welcome journals from any disciplines, any country, and any language. We welcome new journals or also flipping journals. For instance, we have journals that are coming from commercial publishers. We are publishing with a Diamond Open Access model, but we create Diamond Open Access thanks to Green Open Access. I will explain that later. We provide a complete publishing toolkit for the scientific communities. So we also provide free hosting, free technical, and free editorial services to the journals. All our components are made with open source software, so we build and we create free software. And what is important for us also is that the platform is academic-led and academic-funded. It's designed to give to the researchers the means to publish by themselves. So this is a quick overview of the overlay model of Episciences. We are connected to several open repositories, for instance, such as Archive, HAL, Zenodo, bioRxiv, medRxiv, and also we have connection with Software Heritage and any Dataverse-powered repository. So everything starts with a preprint or maybe a dataset or software that should be hosted and available in a compatible open repository. As soon as it is online, we can say that you publish your preprint, for instance. You can submit the preprint to a journal, and usually you have the traditional peer review process of any journal. And in this process, you will have several versions that will be improved by the peer review, and those versions will also be made available in open repositories online. At the end of the process, you usually have a publication of the article. The final version will receive the layout of the journal, for instance, with the logo, DOI, etc. And this specific version will be put online on the repository and published on a platform. We support single blind peer review or open peer review, depending on the choices of the journals and the editor. So if we look at traditional scientific journals, their main responsibilities are the certification of research with peer review, the dissemination to ensure that the research is accessible and disseminated, and they also operate the registration. I mean the recognition of intellectual primacy. And also we are responsible for archiving. It means that making sure that the content is available in the long term. Now if we look at overlay journals, it's a bit different. Overlay journals are only responsible for the certification, the peer review, and the dissemination, accessibility, and of the research. Whereas the registration is operated by the open repositories. The content is hosted by the repositories, and they're also in charge of archiving the content, making sure that it's available in the long term. It's really good because it's one of the specific features of repositories, making sure that content is available in the long term. That's why we operate on top of open repositories. So a quick overview also of the model of Episciences regarding the disciplines. We have mostly journals in mathematics, informatics, and applied mathematics. We also now have more journals in social sciences and humanities, and are welcoming new journals from new disciplines. I mean, for instance, biomechanics and of sciences, and also health sciences. One of the first overlay journals that appeared on Episciences was and also it exists also today, is the R.D. Ramanujan Journal. It's a journal with a board based in India. It has been established in 1978, but it joined the platform in 2014. So it's a kind of new overlay journal, but it's an old journal. And it was Diamond Open Access from the beginning. A more recent addition, with a different kind of object that will be published, is the new journal that is called Jodakis. It will be publishing data sets with data papers and also software papers with software. It means that their focus is more on the datasets and the quality of the datasets. They have a special process to peer review from the scientific point of view the datasets, and also to publish data papers to go along with the datasets. Most of the content of Episciences overlay journals are hosted by open repositories, of course, and most of the content is hosted by archive. And the second repository is HAL, and then a new addition is Zenodo. Zenodo is also a source of preprints and datasets for overlay journals. So let me show you how to submit. It's quite easy. For instance, with HAL, here we have a preprint. This preprint, as soon as it is online, will receive an identifier and a version number. So you can just copy and paste that, and paste that on the journal submission form. It's an easy process. You paste the identifier, select your version number, and push search. We will automatically retrieve the metadata from the repository, so there is no double input of the metadata. And you can see that it's the same. On the left is the metadata from the repository, and on the right is the metadata obtained in the overlay journal. There is also a specific way to submit to overlay journals thanks to a connection with HAL. We are using a protocol that is called co-notify. It's a standard protocol to communicate to allow the repositories to communicate with each other and also with overlay services. So for instance, you submit your preprint on HAL, and then at the same time you can select a journal, and as soon as your preprint is online, it will be automatically submitted to the overlay journal. We are submitting on behalf of the researchers to the journal. It's an easy process that will encourage the submission of preprints to the repository, and also the submission of new articles to the. For the peer review, it's quite traditional. We have reviewing grids that are available for the journals. They can select whatever they want. And then, of course, there are multiple rounds of peer review. It means that you can have, for instance, on the right, this preprint has 10 versions, but only some versions have been submitted to the journal for peer review. Each time that there is a new version that is submitted to the journal, it's also available online, so you can check the differences between all those versions. When we publish, we will publish only one version. A specific version is published, and then if you click, for instance, on download this file, a button on the web page of the journal, the article will be downloaded from the archive. We never host the files. It's always downloaded from the repository. So on the right, you can see an example of an article that has received a layout and is hosted actually on HAL. And it has received a GUI. So when we publish, we have some things to do. For instance, with archive, we will update the bibliographical references of the preprints. So now you can see that this preprint has been published in the journal. It has received a GUI, and there is a volume number, etc. It's the same for HAL, for instance. We will update the document type. It will change from preprint to journal article. We will add the GUI and, of course, the references of the journal. And on HAL, it's an automated process, thanks also to the co-notify process protocol. About metadata, we have special ways to enrich the publications and, for instance, to encourage the reproducibility of research. So, for instance, we have a connection with Software Heritage. You can use Software Heritage that will be presented tomorrow by Professor Roberto Di Cosmo. It's a really good initiative to ensure the handling and long-term preservation of software. It's easy to add a link to a publication on Episciences. Just copy and paste the software hash identifier on Episciences. And then we will retrieve the metadata from Software Heritage and also display the software in the context of the publication. It's really good for the viewers, for instance. They can see that the publication is citing a software and immediately access the software within the context of the reviewing, and also it's the same for the readers, of course. For datasets, it's also easy. You can just copy and paste the GUI, and we will retrieve the metadata. This is an example of a dataset that is linked to one of the publications hosted by a data repository from the University of Stuttgart. So, in a way, we can consider Episciences as a way to connect many scientific objects and artifacts and open infrastructures. So here you can see that, for instance, we have the published article on the left. The preprint is hosted on archive. There is an open peer review that has been provided by the journal and is being posted on the Indo-French repository. We can also have a dataset that is hosted on the data repository. And the software also is linked with the publication, thanks to Software Heritage. And on top, we also have a post-publication review thanks to ZBMat Open. ZBMat Open is an infrastructure that provides services on mathematics for publications. So they are doing, for instance, reviews of our publications. We have also special ways to treat our bibliographical references. Thanks to open source software, we use a software that is called GoBid to automatically extract the references from the PDF files. We can also ingest BibTeX documents or obtain the references from Semotex Scholar. This is an automated process, and the result is that, of course, we will display the references online and also provide the references to Crossref so that it's made available to everyone in several LPIs. We also have specific ways to enrich our metadata, because sometimes the metadata obtained, for instance, from archives is a bit poor, like we don't have ORCID identifiers, no project funding, etc. So we are connecting with more open infrastructures. For instance, in this case, this is the OpenAir Graph. Thanks to the OpenAir Graph, we've been able to add more than 3,000 ORCID identifiers to our publication. It's an automated process. Also the same for funding information for our publication. It works really well for publications that were published many years ago. It's the same, for instance, we can obtain the information about reviews that are reviewing our publication, especially for mathematics, for instance, thanks to ZBMat Open. We can also retrieve which documents are citing our own publications, thanks to Open Citations and OpenAlex. All these information are also available on the web page of the articles and also available in our APIs. Another example that we can obtain is automatic classification thanks to an API of ZBMat Open. So this is automatically added value for the readers without any intervention or work from the researchers. So this is a quick overview that shows you that we can publish journals, and especially overlay journals, with working, we can create dynamic open access thanks to many open infrastructures. This is just a sample of the many infrastructures that we are connected to and help us building overlay journals and open access publications. Of course, all our metadata is processed and is available with a CC0 license, with a REST API, and also an OAI PMH endpoint. Some advantages of the overlay model, the takeaway is that it allows us to publish at a really reasonable cost. It's a cost-efficient process because we are sharing the technical infrastructures. For instance, our servers are the same as the R or ScienceConf platform. Hosting of the papers is actually done thanks to the open archives. And there is, of course, no subscription and no APCs in our model. We also provide free hosting and free support to the journals, meaning that they don't have to find cost to sustain their publication process. A good advantage also of publications is related to preprints. It means that preprints are immediately available. You don't have to wait a lot of time to access the publication. We have many examples of the articles that are submitted, for instance, in January and will be published in December. But with this model of overlay journals, your publications are available all along the process, and every new version is also available, can be cited and discussed online. Also, if the journal disappears, or even if the overlay platform disappears, the content will remain online on the repositories. And they're also available even if they are refused, the preprints stay online. You can also track, of course, the evolution of all the papers. For instance, you can see that reviewers are really adding value to the preprints, since you can see the differences between, for instance, two versions. And also, interesting aspect, in my point of view, is that you can consider the publications as a flow of conversation in a way, because even after the publication of the final version of record, you can still submit new versions on the open archive, and these new versions can also be submitted to the journal for an updated version of the publication. Another advantage of this model, of course, is that it's compliant with open access mandates, because, of course, you have to push online on a preprint server the publications. It's a requirement. It's also really good to maintain access to for the long-term publications of and the evaluations of our publications, and to maintain access even if the journal disappears. An interesting fact also is that we can look at overlay journals as a way to create decentralized or distributed publication systems. For instance, we are connected to, big preprint servers like Archive, but we would like to connect to more institutional servers. It means that, for instance, if we connect to Indian repositories maintained by universities, maybe we can encourage Indian researchers, for instance, to publish in our overlay journals, but having their publication hosted by their university repositories. It means also more engagement to the librarians of the universities. This is a model that we would like to encourage and promote. Another aspect is that the researchers retain all their rights thanks to our model, and also the journals retain all their rights. For the papers, we use Creative Commons licenses, and we advise CC BY, but for the journals, we are not a publisher, we are a publishing platform, so they are still the owners of the journals, in contrary to most of the commercial publishers. With the academic, from the academic point of view, it is really important for us that the journals are academic-led and funded. And then another advantage is that the journals' operation and publishing policy are not dependent of a commercial publisher. It means that, for instance, if a journal is not really interesting, is not a publishing scope really important for a publisher, it's not a problem for us, because we don't regard the publishing interest of the journals in the sense of commercial utility. And finally, we can see an advantage from my point of view is that we can see that we are creating a common good, meaning that all the time for the researchers or for writing papers and creating open reviews, for instance, is invested to create a common good available for the global community. Regarding funding, we are lucky to have a really good support for our supervising bodies. So, the French Ministry for Higher Education and Research and Western area in RAE are also providing funds and human resources. And Institut Fourier and RIA provide also a specific support from some journals. We're also lucky to be funded by some projects with a project from the European Commission, and also the National Fund for Open Science is a really good support for our platform. A new way to fund our platform that we are experimenting this year is thanks to the SCOS, the Global Sustainability Coalition for Open Science. We have been selected by SCOS, and now we have received the first funding from the SCOS coalition. Thanks to the SICT, it's a Norwegian agency for shared services and education and research, and 2 universities will provide funds to support our platform. This is a really nice initiative, and we're also lucky to be supported by and grateful by the CUPRIN consortium. So it means that 16 universities will also fund our platform. It's also research performing organizations and universities. And the third way that is also interesting for us, we not fund the platform, we'll fund the journal, because the journal also needs funding, for instance, to handle the copy editing. So thanks to the COALA is a German acronym for translating to Establishing Consortial Open Access Solutions. This consortium will fund, is actually funding 2 journals, but would like to fund more journals in mathematics and informatics disciplines. So this is also a really good opportunity for us to fund the journals. And with this, I will conclude my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Long live India and France friendship.